Well, this is a first for me. Late last night, I debuted a brand new show for my channel, and only 30 minutes later, YouTube removes it for some sort of guideline crap I'm not going to get into here. But that's all right. Nothing gets me down, and nobody gets the best of me. So if I have to come up with another show within 8 hours, so be it. And that's exactly what this is. Or more accurately, what that is. That's right, you've seen it behind me for a couple of years if you've been paying attention and probably wondered what is on that toy shelf. And if you didn't, I may tell you. Haven't you ever wondered what exactly are those? What exactly do they represent? Who are they and why do I pick them? Well, that's proprietary. Just kidding. My collection is not just those epic brands from the 80s still talked about today. But this toy room you see behind me showcases my Gen X-Perience, the era between my 7-year-old self and through adolescence. These shelves represent all that was special to me, and here's why. Let's start where it all began for me with the most special and the first Megatoy cartoon partnership of the decade, the 80s. Before they knew they were big, Motu was released, Masters of the Universe. Before the cartoon debuted, I was already into their world with the action figures, and that is what I knew best. The cartoon was great, and I rushed home to see it every weekday afternoon, but it was the figures and the characters I wanted. They didn't have to match the animated series. I loved them for all their 100% injected molded plastic, and the world that was built on the card backs and those incredible mini-comics, especially the original ones. Speaking of the originals, they're not. I have made sure to not only replace my originals with modern versions of the Masters of the Universe, but collect them all, something I couldn't do as a kid. So I have Motu Origins, and damn it if they can't hurry the hell up and finish the original line. It's getting a little scary. Mattel Creations has promised to finish the line via their website, and there's only a handful left, and I don't want an incomplete set. The next big-time 80s property I absolutely fell in love with was G.I. Joe. My first figure was Snow Job. Insert giggle here. But the codenames were rad, and the file card with additional information was complete world building at its finest, and was still new and fresh at the time. I didn't have a ton of G.I. Joes, and I certainly didn't have the vehicles. We just couldn't afford it. And soon enough, some special robots would come into my life. But when it came to representing this favorite as an adult collector, I first acquired all the 25th anniversary figures when they were released. But by the time of G.I. Joe Classified, this was my chosen outlet, not just for their size, but for the realism. I chose the most realistic vision of these human figures because they were depicted as such in both their toy and in the cartoon. The card backs or the front of the card had this art that was so incredibly authentic, and the cartoon kept them grounded in reality. Unlike Motu, where I wanted to collect ones that represented those original squatty figures, those toys I had laid my eyes on, with G.I. Joe, the more human, the better, and I'm getting close to finishing it up. Oh, I'm not a completist. For anyone who follows me, my initial playtime came to an end at about 1987, and my toys had to be put away, at least for a time. Such was life in the Gen X-Perience. So I only collect those figures who were released up to that point, up to the point I had to put my toys away. Then I call it complete. Speaking of complete, in 1984 I was obsessed. I wanted every Transformer. I saw one before the cartoon, but the cartoon was kick-ass, while the figures, well, they were touch and go when it came to likeness and articulation. But who cared? They transformed. The Transformers, and Optimus Prime especially, were like friends, and I wanted adventures with them. These characters and the exciting gimmick that had never been done as well as they had done it were nothing less than magical. As I tried hard to collect, I wasn't handed toys every time I begged for one. My parents weren't like that and weren't able to do it. Plus, being the youngest of 11, you can't just spoil one child. Alright, even if I am the youngest and got a little spoiled. But today, the only original Transformer I have left is my first, the original G1 Hoist, the Autobot pickup truck. I got him at Kmart from my mom. Go ahead, watch that video all about my first Transformer right here on the channel. The channel also has a bunch of other great shows you might enjoy and run the gamut of topics happening within the Gen X-Perience. Now, these modern versions of the Transformers are just that. They are not the original, but they look so much more like the G1 characters I thought of, I remember, I envisioned. But with incredible articulation and detail, I knew I had to have them all. Technically, I just need my Legacy Ramjet to arrive, and I will have all G1 characters represented. Even those Origins characters, Bumblebee, Wheeljack, and Jazz that were found in the first episode in their Cybertronian forms. So, I'm excited to call this complete. But I am not complete without my viewers, so please click that like and I hope you'll stick around. Drop a comment about your favorite franchises you collected at this time. I had other toys growing up, but these were all like the big five. Well, the big five plus. Next up are the ThunderCats. Let me tell you a secret. As a kid, I thought the action figures kind of looked like ass. Okay, a few of them like Panthro, Mumra the Mummy, and Slide looked pretty awesome, but the ThunderCats' overall design was lackluster. Lion-O here looks hopped up on something. And if ever there was a packaging that didn't sell the character or toy line, the ThunderCats was it. However, I enjoyed the cartoon, and the story arc that was barely there was still evident and elevated the series from mere cartoon fodder. The inconsistent animation was like everybody else, but with my other toys taking priority, I never got a ThunderCat during the original release. How times have changed, and as an adult collector, I can get who I want when I want. As for this collection, it's also complete. Did I get them all? No. I don't want every one-off character or side character, but the main ones. So from Jaga to Hachiman, I feel complete. Not to mention when 2 years ago I was able to add Mumra's Tomb and Fortress to the collection. It might be short on action, but long on atmosphere. But these, they spoke to me, and I wanted to represent Kenner's M.A.S.K. But I was getting older. Toys were fewer and far between as gifts, so money I collected would have to do the work to acquire these incredible figures and vehicles. The size of the figures didn't bother me, but the vehicles transforming, that was the bomb. It's as if they've always described it, a mix of G.I. Joe and Transformers. An almost true-life adventure series that took the cast all around the world. It wasn't another planet or aliens or too far future high-tech. It felt like it could happen, and I wanted to be part of it. Sadly, I only had Condor and Vampire, one M.A.S.K. and one Venom set, before I took my toys and stored them away to grow up. How Peter Pan, huh? That's okay. When I woke up, I realized a man is not complete without his collection of favorite things. M.A.S.K. was part of it, and since they have never modernized the entire toy line, yes, I do have G.I. Joe Matt Tracker, I set out to get all of the Season 1 characters and vehicles. Not all the toy series, and I didn't care about the racing setting of Season 2 of the cartoon, but I got all the major vehicles and characters that were present in the initial run of the animated series, including Boulder Hill, gas pump hoses included. They live right here. Yes, getting super dusty. I really need to get to that bottom shelf. And don't think I don't pick these things up every now and then. I do. I pull them out, I feel them, I transform them, I repose them and put them back on the shelf. I fiddle with the toys, the robots, the vehicles. That's how I pass the time. Think about something or rest between making my videos. Of course, I had Star Wars. My brothers, sisters, and I have been collecting those since the toys first appeared in toy stores. No, not the early bird set. And they just kept coming. Of course, I do not have any of my originals. My nieces and nephews saw to that. Although I do have some original figures over time, I decided to selectively represent. I picked a time towards the end of the original trilogy, a time all the major characters are represented, but not the Battle of Endor, during a scene that impacted me a lot, Jabba's palace. I'm still working on exactly what I'm doing there, but I like where it's going with the vintage collection pieces. My parents found the original Star Wars figures cost-effective and bundled a few of them while they gave us a steady supply of the Fisher-Price Adventure People. Hey, wait. I don't have any of those. I love the Adventure People. I think I've just found my newest thing I need to represent. Representation. That is what this whole show is about. The rest of the toy shelf presents my loves, my favorites, things that impacted me. No, I did not collect the dolls for obvious reasons, but I can't lie and say I didn't love the drama and action of the GEM cartoon. What a scenario and a unique take on the secret identity theme during the MTV generation. I just added this lovely statue to my office after Christmas, and boy is she all legs. Look at those stems. Pretty fit too. Surrounding me constantly are all the things that I have loved, things that have meant something as I grew up and have left a lasting impression. From movies to TVs to concepts, that is what the rest of my toy shelves, the rest of my office is all about. And I want to surround myself with the things that have made me happy in the past and continue to do so today. I really hope you've enjoyed this look at the GEN X-Perience toy room of mine. I have been in love with toys since the 70s, but had those favorites in the 1980s, and have collected what I collect. Not a completist. I select what I want, I get them, and it certainly has fulfilled me. I hope this video has fulfilled you in a way, and if you liked it, press that subscribe. Look around this channel because there's all kinds of things that just run the entire Gen Experience topics, and I'd love to see you back here again. Until next time.